Hello and welcome to episode 432 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now joining me on today's episode is Matt Thomson, the singer and songwriter for the incredible British band The Amazons. On today's interview we get to talk all about the band's history like we do on all episodes of Mark and Me, but we also get to focus and talk all about the band's brand new album, which is out tomorrow, if you listen to this afterwards, May the 9th, and it's called 21st Century Fiction. Matt is brilliant, an absolute delight to talk to, and I'll share this interview with you in just a couple of minutes' time. But on all episodes of Mark and Me, I'll always use the intro to quickly touch base and talk about my last episode, and it was also by another incredible British songwriter. I was joined by Tom Jenkins. What a huge episode, what a great interview, one of my favourites of all time, not just the year, of all time. I absolutely loved it, and thanks so much to Tom for sharing it. He's on tour as we speak right now. I'm seeing so much great footage from those gigs. I'm so jealous because I want to be there. But again, thanks to everyone for listening, and I hope you all enjoyed it as much as me. But today, it's all about the Amazons, so what I want to do is to get straight to it. So here's me and Matt talking all things music. So Matt, thanks for joining me today on the Mark and Me podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Now, Matt, what I do with all guests that come on the podcast is I do like a little trip down memory lane, and I like to start where it all began. I'm really intrigued, especially with yourself, musically. That first album that maybe you remember being given as from your brother or sister or parent or someone, or maybe you used your own pocket money, but that first album you remember investing in that made you fall in love with music.
Well, the first album that I bought with my own money, I guess, was Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory.
Wow, massive.
A lot of energy on that record. And I liked to cosplay that I was incredibly complex and a layered 10-year-old. And I remember, I don't think my parents knew exactly what they were financing with my pocket money. But I think I remember having a sit-down talk with my dad when he came in after, I don't know, hearing me play it at dangerous decibels about do you think that these people are sad, Matt? And why do you think they're sad? And, are they angry about things? And he almost wanted to unpack why Chester Bennington was gutturally screaming, "Shut up when I'm talking to you," or whatever, the many lines that he just unloads on. That was a big moment. I guess there's different, in terms of when I reflect on becoming a musician, there's my exposure to music itself through watching a DVD of Led Zeppelin live or
Nice.
Linkin Park or Hybrid Theory, and they were all so it wasn't I can be on a CD or I can be on a film. It was actually being exposed to local bands and local kids making bands that made me think, oh, I can make a band myself.
That's fair.
They're two different things for me. My sister was a violin player for a while, and she was part of a children's orchestra, and they used to do these annual concerts at the Hexagon in Reading, which is this kind of mini Barbican type brutalist theatre, multi-purpose structure. And we'd watch just a variety show essentially of different orchestras, and there'd be one or two local rock bands, and I was those are the ones that blew my mind. On reflection, they were probably quite quite ramshackle, just kids learning to play for the first time, judging by my father's reaction. But I was completely head over heels in love, and that's what I wanted to do.
That's great because I think you mentioned just before we start recording, you've just listened to the Travis episode, so you might have heard this story, but my first introduction was Green Day. So
Nice.
I'm 42, so my first kind of proper gig was Wolverhampton, probably around sort of 12, 13 years old. Parents dropping me off, and I got to see them on their Dookie tour, so I think that's their prime. I felt like they had their, I don't know, I just felt the three of them were a force. They didn't have an extra guitarist. They weren't the band they are now. I absolutely still love them, but they were raw. They were just so great to hear songs like When I Come Around and Basket Case and all these sort of tracks. But like yourself, I wanted then to feel like I could do that.
Hmm.
Um, but it didn't seem achievable. It felt like they were like gods. Because after that, I'd see bands like Korn, Limp Bizkit, Deftones, and they felt so elevated above anything that was ever reachable. It
Mm.
just felt like a dream. And I suppose it was only when I joined a band at college and at school, and we are doing battle of the bands and doing covers and all this sort of thing that people do. It then seemed like actually it might be something that could happen if I put my mind to it. But I suppose it's very similar to your story. It needed to be in front of me and see other people that were doing it, that were like-minded, that weren't these like gods that were on pedestals above me. It actually needed something to be, oh, there's my friend John who's in a band, so I know now that I could be like John.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Which I think kind of spotlights the need for grassroots venues and community
Yeah,
based around music, which can sound so wishy-washy, but that's like these are the actual steps. These are real things. If I hadn't seen these kids playing in, bars and stuff, I might have kind of put the guitar down along the way because I might not have had so much kind of constant confirmation that this was something that could be possible.
Were
Yeah.
there certain shows? Obviously, you talked about local bands and your sister playing, but was there a first gig that you can remember that was quite iconic, or that was a band that you paid good money to go and see that then elevated that took you to that next level of, oh my God, like the power of music and the production and everything is this is what I really want to do. This is it.
Yeah, I think we were already on our way around 2010 as a band. I mean, the Amazons in all but name had already formed by then, but we were starting to go to gigs on our own,
Yeah.
going to using our own means to get there. So gigs like Arcade Fire at the O2 Arena and Hyde Park, I remember they were supported by Mumford and Sons that day as well. And doing the suburbs, which was a really sprawling, epic, ambitious work that came at the right time for us as 16-year-olds. That was a band that were so widescreen and cinematic, and to see that on the live stage as well, I just connected. So that was like they were the my soundtrack to my life at that time. And being from Reading, the older I've become, the more parallels I've seen between like suburban life in Reading and almost this kind of Americanized version of suburbia that we're familiar with. When you actually break it down, from my parents' house, you can't walk anywhere. You have to drive to the local, the mall, essentially.
Yeah.
There's a big mall in Reading, or there's, it's all about when you're 17, you've got to pass your driving test, and then everyone hangs out at McDonald's, and there's like a supermarket and a McDonald's and a pharmacy and a gym all in one huge car park. And no wonder an album like The Suburbs, and uh no wonder an album like The Suburbs like connected with us, because it kind of talking about our life is kind of less about any location wise. It's more just like modern life in a way.
What was the point that you thought to yourself, I actually want to do this, like actually become a reality? So you can dream, you can listen to albums, you can fantasize, you can stand in front of the mirror with a guitar and hope. But what's the moment that you think, I actually want to do this. I want to pick up a guitar, I want to sing, I want to do something that basically becomes a reality and not just a dream anymore.
Yeah, that is a great question, because it is there's not really one moment, but I gotta be honest, really from the time that I was in a band with Chris and Elliot, we were called Peers, and we started in 2009. And honestly, as soon as we started doing original material, and that band was formed to do original material because all been doing covers, and I was
Yeah,
like, no, actually, I'm going to try and write some songs. And as soon as I got some like good feedback from our school, our schoolmates at Field Green, um, I was like, well, this is it. We actually have to try and make it because when we're making a band in 2010, we've already had like 50 years worth of examples of people making it from club level up to stadium level. We're not in the 50s where it's like, what is rock and roll? Who knows where it's going to
that's fair.
go?
Yeah.
We already knew, like, being in a rock band had so many baked in expectations, or at least dreams of what could possibly happen if you were good. Literally from the moment we started doing original material, I was like, I want to be a rock star. That's it.
Did you find it quite easy to be a front man? Did you feel like there was no anxieties or stresses or nerves? Were you just like, I'm going to do this? It wasn't ever like a talking point between everyone in the band or a moment where you had to sit down and say, okay, I'll do it, or should we get a singer? Were you just naturally, organically
Yeah.
growing into that position?
Yeah, I think right from the beginning with the Amazons and Piers, it was I'm the front man and I'm writing
Yeah.
the songs and we're gonna do this. And I think the boys have kind of grown into it and become completely indispensable. But at the beginning, I think everyone would admit that it was just me like, come on, we've got to do band practice. It was like Paul McCartney at the end of the Beatles, where they're like, "Come on, please, do you want to play a gig?" And everyone's like, "I don't know," or because I'm trying to make boys who would rather just like hang out as 15-year olds and play PlayStation, which we did a lot of. But I was like, we have to practice. We have to write stuff. You have to grow as musicians. We have to grow.
That's really
So
mature though to be thinking like that at that age. One of my favourite bands of all time is Silverchair, and they started at such a young age. I mean, Daniel Johns was writing songs at 14 and recording at 15, and I think I can't even remember myself at that age ever wanting to even try and construct a song and know what dynamics are. I was just enjoying live music for being an experience to meet up with friends and to drink and meet other people. So to be at that age yourself and be maturely thinking this is a road we need to go on and there's a challenge that's going to be met at every corner, that's pretty damn good, isn't it, to have that kind of vision at such a young age?
it's delusion
Yeah,
because um, there's two conversations that kind of are in my mind quite a lot. When I was in year seven or year eight, I was speaking to my one of my best friends, who still is one of my great friends, Ben. And I was like, "Oh, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And he's like, I don't know, like maybe like an architect or a dentist." And my mouth was on the floor. I was like, "You don't want to be a rock star. Like you don't want to be a football player. You don't want to you don't have some completely unobtainable dream." And that was a kind of realization of like, oh, maybe people have realistic aspirations. And then I actually remember in the band, in a kitchen somewhere around the same age, talking to Chris and Elliot and being like, "You want to play stadiums, right? You want to play Wembley Stadium?" They were like, don't know, not really thought about it. I'm not that bothered." And being like, you, I don't know if we can be in a band anymore, boys. I don't know if we can do this anymore. It has to be stadiums or nothing. So,
I love that though. I love that you had that ambition at such a young age. Like you knew what you wanted.
yeah, definitely. It's a blessing and a curse because talk about putting all your eggs in one basket. I literally have no adult life without putting all my eggs in this particular basket. It really there is no there's no alternative, and never has been, except from playing football for Reading. as a 11-year-old.
So what was there never a plan B at all? Was there never something to fall back on? Were you literally like, Mum, Dad, I'm going to be in a band, and if I'm not, I don't know what I'm going to do.
On it, I toyed around with being a historian
Right.
as a 10 or 11-year-old because I loved ancient Greeks and I do love history, but like there's no real job role there. I'm just saying I like history. And then it was just music the whole time, nothing else ever.
Did you have your parents backing? Because you're saying your dad's listening to, early Linkin Park records with you and thinking, turn this off. It's screaming, it's noise. It's not really,
Yeah.
it's not the dream for you to turn around and be like, well, Dad, I'm going to try and be like this and do it myself.
Yeah. No, parents have been amazing, unwavering. They I've always supported the band, been our biggest fan, and they always have opinions on the music, and they're experts at like picking up you know, recalling a tune that I did as a 14-year-old and going, what happened to that song? And I'm now 31. Whatever happened to that one? Why didn't you bring that one up? It's like you re-listen to the demo and you're like, well, there's a reason because I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's so many songs I'm sure that they fell in love with just listening through my bedroom walls um, when I was really starting to songwrite and stuff. And I'm sure there's some lovely memories around that. So I don't blame them.
So when you obviously, my years in my head, was it 2017 you had your debut?
Yeah, that's right.
Brilliant. And top 10 in the UK album chart. Surely, as much as you were the kid that wanted to be playing stadiums,
Yeah.
the reality of then seeing that positioned in there, and Enemy and Independent and Radio 1, everyone raving about you, surely it must have been a pinch me moment. Even though your ambition was wanting to take you to the moon and be the next Led Zeppelin, to actually have it in front of you as a reality, surely that must have been like, fucking hell, I never was ready for this.
Um, yeah. Yeah, it was actually. It was a really that was a real whirlwind year, actually. We did a lot of stuff in 2017. It was an amazing experience. Because I guess you don't know how the music is going to be received. And then I think actually the best moment was the midweeks. I think we were setting up or sound checking for Radio One's big weekend in Hull or somewhere similar. And we'd heard that we were like number 5 on the midweeks. We ended up at number 8, but that was just, oh wow, okay, this is actually happening. Maybe that is a moment that I could really put to like feeling, oh, this
Yeah.
is actually happening. Um, yeah, it was well, an interesting reflection on it is it's I had this feeling the whole time of like it just wasn't really in our control. And I'm sure lots of people feel like that when they have a little bit of success of like we were just fresh. We were so fresh out of playing bars. We were incredibly unrefined. And we were just kind of making it up as we went along. And every time was the first time. So, and knowing our band, you know, we the best time to see is probably the second time, if you know what I mean. Or like our second take is the best take because we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so it just felt like it was just kind of this thing where we weren't completely on top of it all the time because we were learning as we were going on. So moments like Jules Holland or Glastonbury weren't these kind of triumphant moments where we just puffed up our chest and did it and we smashed it and stuff. We were a band just learning on the go, and that's in our personal performances, but also just in when we played Glastonbury and Jules Holland, we didn't have any crew. We'd never had crew. We
How
didn't know
surreal
what,
is that to be doing that scale and not really have like a team of people?
oh,
It's
it's
mad.
com oh, it's complete. It was completely insane and kind of stupid because now we roll up to places with experience and and of what happens when things go wrong. And the reason why you have crew is to make sure the preparation is right and to make sure they can troubleshoot anytime that things go wrong. So things going wrong on Jules Holland and Glastonbury, I can't help but admit and look back and go, fuck, I don't know if we were 100% ready, whether or not it would have made a huge amount of
Yeah.
difference or anything, but these are huge deals for me. So I'm going to look back. But also on the other hand, we wouldn't be the band we are today um, without moments like that where we, very acute learning experiences.
It shapes you to who you are now, doesn't it? You need the kind of the sweet's not as sweet until you've had the sour.
Exactly. I'd love to return to Jules or Glastonbury and just I don't know put on a performance that is worthy of the growth that we've experienced over the last 5, 6, 7 years. Um, that's definitely one of the dreams for this record.
When you
Just
evolve as a band, do you have any chance? So, you know, between your debut and then recording the follow up Future Dust only 2 years later, do you have any time when it's such a whirlwind to even reflect? Are you able to ever take a step back and look at what's going on? That the people turning up to the gigs are singing your words back, and it's not just one or two at the front, it's then a crowd of people. At the end of the night, a lot of people are wearing your t shirts, a lot of people are singing your songs back. Are you able to grasp the festival lineups as your name goes higher up the bill and it's not the smaller stages, the bigger stages, or is it too difficult because you're so in the middle, you're so part of it, you're such an internal force that you are unable, like on a wedding day, some people say take a step back and look at your wedding, otherwise before you know it, you wake up and it's gone. Are you
yeah.
able to ever take that step back and take a photo for yourself of what's happening, or is it just too much, too kind of chaotic, and there's never that chance to even digest what's happening?
Well, it's an interesting one because I don't know how. I mean, it's this is I don't know if we've got the tools to do the reflection thing at the time, if I'm honest. I just don't think
That's fair.
we're like capable of doing it. And that must be there must be some sort of reason that you're just in the present at all times. And I mean, I actually love that part of touring where a 2 week tour feels like you've been away for ages and
Yeah,
you're different as a person. It's because like you're in the present all the time. And like I always say that like being on tour is like every minute of the day is like not it's you know we're on an adventure, so every minute is being used up for its full potential. That's my personal opinion. I know
that's a
some
good way
people
to
have
be.
different.
That's how I am. Yeah,
I can't. I mean, one of my all I want to do is tour. All I want to do is tour. That's it's the one thing that I love about being in the band the most. The kind of idea we can create magic every single night.
that's
Uh,
interesting because a lot of the bands I talk to will say the opposite. Like, ah, oh, it's the touring that gets me down. I just want to get back to the studio and write and record. And it's the touring and being away from family and loved ones and getting a
no.
work life balance and a healthy. So
Yeah.
it's quite refreshing to hear that you're like, sign me up for a 365-day tour. I'm up for it, you know?
Oh, I'll be really frank with you. I'll be really frank. When I talking about reflection, when I look back on the Amazons over the last 8 years, we simply haven't toured enough. We haven't played enough shows. And that is obviously, you know, it's out of our control, and it's something that I've always endeavored to do. Like, let's play the most shows we've ever played this year.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about how the music is received, of course, in multiple territories, ultimately. Um, but yeah, put me on a 6 month tour. I always get envious of crew because they do tour all year, so they go on your tour, and then you're like, oh, what are you up to next? What are you up to next? And they're like, oh, I'm going to go on another 6 week American tour. And it's like, oh, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. I think it's because you can put life on hold because you're on tour, so you're living in this like different reality.
You've only just finished a tour, though, haven't you? So are you kind of feeling a bit of a come down now? Are you kind of like,
Yeah,
you did a couple of weeks, didn't you, in December, and you did most of the UK and Scotland and Wales and London, and is it kind of difficult now to kind of switch back to, oh, when's the next one? It might be 6 months away. Is it kind of hard
yeah,
to go, oh, like now I'm going back into hibernation for a bit?
yeah, definitely. That is it. I'm coming down. I'm annoyed because it wasn't long enough, and we
Yeah,
also had to cancel the show this time round because I had just like a nasty flu. We cancelled Cardiff. That was the first time I've ever cancelled a show through illness. Um, and then I mustered like something beyond a croak the next day to do London. I don't know if I should have done it, if I'm honest. I could have kind of got myself into some trouble. But the ramifications of not playing were just too great, just from just a spiritual level, but also, we're a working band, so we are going on tour for a reason. We have to tour, we have to play. So that was an interesting experience, actually. I can totally, when uh, when artists and bands um, cancel shows at the last minute.
yeah.
I think I've been in the past the first to like dismiss it of like, what, you've left it so long, you've fucked up everyone's days. Um, People
How
are still,
selfish of you, yeah.
how could you do it? But now I realize when you're actually in it, you've got on one hand, you want to give people as much time as possible, much notice as possible, whether you're going to cancel or not. And then the other hand, you're doing everything you possibly can, every trick in the book to give yourself a shot of singing.
Yeah,
And what I found is that when it's 3 or 4 p.m., it's really hard to work out whether the next few hours of steaming is going to do anything or if it's going to help or if like the Manuka honey I've just like dunked into my tea for the fifth time, is that going to actually like,
do the job,
benefit me
yeah.
in a couple of hours time? It's so hard. And your inbox is filled with like, are you gonna play today and all that stuff? And you're like, I have no I have no idea. So I can totally see why I totally see both sides of it, obviously. Um, but yeah, that was a really interesting learning experience that we've never had to do before. I'm proud of that record. I am proud of it record, but less proud now when you realize how when you've got the flu, there's not much you can do about it. Like you can steam and Manuka honey and you can do all of the warm-ups, like, but if you're second day into a flu, you're
Yeah,
not gonna sing. You
no.
fucked. You put
The
temperature's
flu
like
one.
40 degrees. My
Yeah.
temperature is 40 degrees in the van, and I'm like, should I play the show? Obviously not. You fucked. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, at least you're still here. At least you only had to cancel one. Some people you
Yeah.
see throw the whole tour away, and then you're like, oh my god. But what I find really interesting about bands, and I feel it must be frustrating because if I record an interview with someone and then the management say it can't come out for a couple of months, I'm like,
Mm.
oh my god, like you're making me sit on this for 2 months. It's never really been that long. It's usually a month or, to coincide with a release of an album or a film. But you're sitting here right now
Mm.
knowing that your next album, if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's probably finished, ready,
Yeah.
mastered, it's all done. And you can't show the world this until next May. And for me, it's not. I know the way the world works. I know that there's, to get vinyl pressed, to get everything done, to get the whole product the best it can be at the right time. Everything needs to be taken into consideration. But for 5 months, you're going to be sitting on 21st century fiction, and I feel like I just want to tell the world if I've done something I'm proud of. I'm like, look at this. And how do you cope with this not feeling old by the time it's come out?
Great question. Well, the short answer is it's pain,
Yeah,
complete pain, because this is our best work. It's our most accomplished work. It's our most inventive, um, creative, ambitious. and well-crafted work, basically. And I want to just tell everyone, I want to just grab them by the shoulders and shake them. 21st century fiction. Fuck.
This is the one.
This
Yeah.
is the one. And but I also recognize that in I also recognize that we work with an incredible team that have a plan.
Yeah.
And ultimately I want the album to, you know, reach as many ears as possible. So I'm invested in that plan. And I'm sold on the idea of setting the scene for this record. I think the building the context around the record, you know, dropping for us is really important with this particular one because we take a few big swings conceptually and in terms of arrangement. We do things that we've never done before that would probably be slightly jarring for our audience if we just dropped her out of nowhere. And I actually want to give this piece of work the correct context, basically, in which to arrive. And I think actually, if I've got a complicated relationship with social media and creating content,
Yeah.
but I think I've been reframing it as more opportunities to tell the story of each song. So we've got a new single out on January 10th called My Blood that we've got a lot in the tank and a lot in our plans of like how do we tell the story of this song using social media and stuff that I'm really excited about. So we're just reframing it as just a create an extension of the album, a creative journey en route to the record being released. Yeah, that's the long answer.
I love it. And what's really nice is you can see already the artwork, you can see the kind of concept, even just down to the details of on a cassette, this kind of the vinyl variants, it all looks beautiful. The packages all look
Thank you.
great. It looks like a lot of thought's gone into it and time and the branding and everything. It just looks stunning. So it already, there's certain album covers that look iconic, and you look at like Oasis, definitely maybe it's just the scene of them in a lounge, all kind of relaxed. This cover already seems iconic, if that makes sense. It just seems, I don't know what it is. It's just there's something about this cover that makes it already look timeless. I couldn't tell you if this was a 30-year-old
Mm,
Beach Boys album. I couldn't tell you if this is something that's 10 years ago. But you've got all these people looking at this fiction, looking in one way, looking in the same direction of all age groups, a whole mix of people from all different backgrounds and religions and everything, and it kind of automatically just draws me in. That's just the image, but it already speaks powerful to me. I'm like, this is something that needs to be given attention to, and that's just the cover.
thank you. That's something that we really, really wanted fr before the idea even came about. I wanted something that simultaneously drew you in, but also caught your eye. And we worked with an incredible artist on this and a team actually, a creative team called Hotcake and an artist called Lauren Luxembourg, who we've just a massive, massive fans of before she ever agreed to work with us. And yeah, it's kind of slice of life, as you said, an orchestra, a kind of yeah, an ensemble thing.
Yeah,
I really appreciate what you were saying about it. I appreciate that big time. Um,
I'm like the fact that and I know you're never going to go, well, this album's all right. We've done a lot better in the past. You're never going to get anyone that
yeah, no,
transparent, but
of
you're
course.
really genuinely, and it's authentic. I can see through people. I do this all day, every day, so I know when someone's genuine. But it's so sincere that you're so excited, and you already know this is your best work. So how exciting is that to know that the best stuff you're doing is right now in the present?
With yeah, you know what? As soon as the al first album came out, I reconciled with myself that we weren't going to be a band that burned brightly on the first album and had to chase our tails the entire time.
Yeah.
We weren't going to be defined by our first record. And if this was going to be a long journey, right? This is a band that we aren't these kind of mercurial talents. I'm not Van McCann, I'm not Sam Fender, I'm not
No.
like it's going to be fucking struggle and frustration. But what I need to do is have a vision in my head of what it should look like and do everything in my power, even if it takes 10 years to get there. And um it's just pure sweat and toil from the Amazons. But I think this is the best work. And maybe it's too cliche to call it best or to give it like a kind of subjective term. I honestly think if we frame it like if this was the last album that the Amazons were ever going to make, this is the album.
Yeah.
Um, that's how I would frame it.
The thing is, with the bands I listen to and my personal taste in music, I've always liked bands that evolve that never sound like the first album.
Yeah.
Perfect example, my most listened to music is probably Thrice,
Mm,
Paramore,
mm,
Radiohead, bands that evolve and never play it safe. And I love all those bands deeply, but I don't go back to their first albums. I always like the way they've progressed and never kind of chase their own tail.
totally.
And I can now put you in that same category. And how cool is that? Just that you've never just gone, that's it, we've done our thing, and now we'll just keep doing 3 or 4 albums of that. We're gonna, as musicians, always set the bar higher for each album. We're gonna make the dynamics change. We're gonna learn new stuff. We're gonna add new instruments. We're gonna add new sounds. We're never gonna just completely, you know, playing it safe is fine, and if you're successful for it and you can have 5 or 6 albums and tour the rest of your life doing that same album, that works for some people.
Yeah.
But for me, as a listener, I need to be challenged, and that's why I listen to Thrice and literally will listen to the song again and again with different headphones or in the car and hear this different breakdown and melody and different vocal hook and the harmony and think, fucking hell, this is so different to the band that I saw 10 years ago.
Mm,
And that's
mm.
you. And how good is that?
Yeah. Thank you. I just it, hitting hitting my 30s was a really pivotal time. It was like a time where creatively I was just and actually just with my life I felt that if it's not going to happen now, it really, this is it. I mean, between for the next few years, I mean, this is it. In terms of that, yeah, marrying of experience and still having that kind of creative spark. Because I think in the context of rock and roll, with except from a few exceptions, it's a young man's game, and there's only we do run out of time to make our mark, I think, when it comes to like defining work. But I just wanted to make the absolute most of this maybe next 5 years or so, this sweet spot, and just create as much as possible. Obviously, when I get older, I'll feel completely different, and I'll feel like my comments here are just naive and bullshit and dismissive of older people, and I don't want to be like that. I'm looking at history
Of
and
course.
realizing that the opportunity, the window of time to create our defining work as the Amazons, our voice in the void is dwindling. So we better fucking do it now.
What I do on this podcast, it's my final question for you today because I'm very wary of time. I always like to end the episode with a song choice by yourself.
Mm,
I've done it with every episode of Mark and Me since the start, so over 400 episodes now. But everyone gets to choose a song that means a lot to them. Now, that's not an Amazon song, that's already
mm,
going to be on the episode, so we get to promote the new album, we get to talk about you as a band. But I want you to tell me a song that when I ask the question comes to your heart and your soul before any other song in the history of music. I know it's not easy. You might have 5,000 songs in your head at the moment. But what's a song that means a lot to you that when this is all edited, ready for the world to listen to, this can play out at the end of today's interview and you'd be like, yeah, that's the song I want.
Heroes,
Wow.
the long
Yeah.
one,
The
the it
very
has the
the
full
very
version,
long full version.
because he starts the he does he repeats the first verse, but like an octave higher with more desperation, and
Yeah.
it's not as impactful unless you've heard the first verse when he kind of plays it off kind of cool at the beginning. It's my favorite. I think it's my favorite song, and I
Yeah.
think it's one of the best songs. I think it is the best song for me. Um, I love the story around it. There's a great video on YouTube of Tony Visconti kind of breaking down on the stems, and just the isolated tracks of the feedback guitar from Robert Fripp and Eno, and then Bowie's isolated vocals. You know, his as his desperation in his vocals grows throughout the song, different gates are opened for different reverbs. Just really genius stuff, but obviously it would mean nothing and it would just be hollow experimentation unless it was filled with incredible heart and soul in this kind of epicenter of division that the Berlin,
Oh,
that
you're
the
making me want to listen
studio.
to Bowie. I've got loads to do. I've got supposed to be editing all afternoon, and now I just want to listen to Bowie all afternoon and watch these videos with isolated vocals, which I get really into. I listened to one with Butch Vig where he breaks down Nirvana Nevermind, and he has
Yeah.
just Kurt's isolated vocals, and then you hear the second take that he does underneath at the lower octave, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man, like I never heard that in something in the way before. I've heard it, and
Mm.
I'm like, but it's quite haunting when you hear it just isolated. And I've not heard Bowie's one, so I'm like, oh, I'm getting on YouTube straight after this, and now I'm going to be like, that's my day gone.
Um, yeah, it's the best. It's the groove, the lyrical content. I remember day died driving to rehearsals, just had it on repeat, crying my eyes out. And that was the first one of the believe it or not, that was one of the first times I'd cried at recorded music, which is completely insane. But this was 9 years ago, so I
Yeah.
was a boy of 21 or so, and ever since that moment, the floodgates have opened. I cry at all music at all times now.
Which is a
But
good thing. Like I can't
yeah,
listen to Jeff Buckley now without crying. Like it just
yeah,
happens. It's like it's embedded. It's like if you put on Grace, you're gonna have a cry. Like get a tissue and listen to Grace because it comes hand in hand. You know.
yeah. That's so yeah. Maybe Heroes is my cry song. I love just to keep on going. I'm
No, of
sorry.
course.
I love the kind of relentlessness of the repetition of the groove for about 5 minutes. It puts you in a trance,
Yeah.
basically. It's one of those songs where it will start and you go, am I ready for this? And then by the end you're sobbing or you've got goosebumps. Or I like mutter to myself, fuck me, this is amazing. Oh my God, this is the best. Oh my God, the whole way through. Um,
And it never ever gets old.
No, it doesn't. It's fresh and it's one of those songs where when you're first learning about music and you're discovering music and being a teenager and the internet really coming into its own at the same time, I would just go like Google like songs that sound like heroes. And then a really important lesson was that there's no song that
No.
sounds like heroes. And that could be said with all like these really so many special songs where they're so special that even Bowie could make another song that sounded like Heroes. It really is it's just got that magic dust, that
I want
combination.
to listen to it now.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best. I think it's one of those songs where you're like, okay, there are good songs, and then there are
Yeah.
like artistic achievements. It's a feat. It's an achievement. And he wouldn't have been able to make this song on his first or second or third record.
No.
He had to go on these deep explorations of different incarnations and and he had to carry on that journey after Heroes, but Heroes is just a peak. It's a peak. of not only Bowie's career, but of music and of the 70s, which and I think the 70s was one
Yeah.
of the most in terms of volume and in terms of variety and range, it was probably the great decade for music. There you go.
It's I literally going to be listening to Bowie. I've seen Bowie live. I got to go to Glastonbury when he headlined. I was only
Oh
18 years old. It was my
my
first ever
God.
festival, and it was unbelievable. And I got to literally stand in a field and hear Starman live, which just that's it.
That's
I
the stuff of
peaked.
legend now. It's mythology. To me, that didn't even exist, dude. I can't believe that existed.
It's insane, but it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast today. I honestly feel like we could talk for hours. I feel like we've only just warmed up, so whenever you want to come back on, the door's always open. I've had guests Alex Winter's been on 4 times now, so
Oh wow.
people come. So if you ever want to come back on, just let me know, and don't leave it so long because I've missed the tour now, and I just looked at the dates. I was like, shit, I've just missed the UK dates. So don't leave it too long because I want to come and see you guys play.
Oh yeah, we can make that happen. Definitely. I'd
Not
love to
just for
come
me,
back on.
obviously, but yeah, if you want to announce some tours real soon, that'd be great.
Of course. Yeah. Don't worry
And
about that.
a massive good luck with the release of the album. It's a while away yet, but obviously you just said there's a single out in January.
Mhm.
People are going to get to see the whole concept and the thought and the process behind it, and then time flies. Before you know it, the album will be out, and hopefully you can be back on reflecting and talking about it. And
That would be good. I would love that actually.
yeah,
Same time
awesome.
next year.
Definitely, that sounds good to me. And thank you for your time today. It means a lot.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
So there's my interview with me and Matt from the awesome band, The Amazons. What a great guy, a real deep thinker, and I really love the interview. And the good news is, as you're listening to this, you've only got a day to wait for the band's brand new album, which is out tomorrow. As I said at the start, it's called 21st Century Fiction. It's absolutely brilliant. Go and listen to it, then go and get yourself a ticket when you see that they're playing any UK dates near you. Just support this band, they're absolutely brilliant. There's loads of UK dates coming, loads of signings, loads of in-store performances. Grab yourself a ticket and then let me know on any of my socials that you went, supported the band and thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm going to be going at the end of October to the Birmingham date and I hope to see some of you there. Right, as always guys, if you're listening to this and have enjoyed today's episode, why not take just a couple of minutes to rate the episode? You can do this on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You click literally a couple of buttons and you can give it a 5-star rating and it gets more people hearing the name of the podcast. Not only that, you can share it. You've all got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. Just copy the link to the episode or retweet or share the image. It goes so far in getting the name of Mark and me out there. Costs you guys absolutely nothing and makes a massive difference to Mark and me. Right guys, before I go, I want to give a shout out to the 2 sponsors of Mark and me. Firstly, Vice Press. If you're a huge collector of great prints, absolutely gorgeous posters, go on their site vicepress.com. Go and add anything to your basket and use the discount code MarkandMe10 and get yourself 10% off your first purchase. And also the amazing folks at Richer Sounds. If you want to get yourself anything to do with a brand new TV, a projector, headphones, anything to do with audio and visual, go on richersounds.com or check out their incredible stores. Right guys, things are getting insane. The next guest is absolutely huge. He really is a legend and I can't wait to share it with you in a few days' time. But until then, go and listen to the Amazons, look after yourself, and I'll speak to you all very soon.
You will be queen. us were lovers, that is that. Though nothing will keep us together, we could still die just for one day. We can be heroes forever and ever. What you say? Can swing. Though nothing will keep us together.